Welcome again to another episode of Sneaks, Rhymes, and Life. So I am your host, Lionel McDonald. So it is time. We had to get into it. For those that know, I'm coming fresh back from New York, and I saw one of the most amazing concerts that I've ever seen in my life. Um, the Trilogy concert, Nas at MSG, and he performed King's Disease 1, 2, and 3. So gonna have to give you a quick recap, obviously, on the show. And then obviously we got to talk about these albums. So for those that don't know, let me give you some color. King's Disease is the trilogy of Nas's most recent projects. It's four consecutive albums when you throw in Magic. And so you got one, two, three plus Magic. The first album came out in summer of 20. I think it was the what do I got written down here? August 21st. So this is the first album that Nas has done with one producer exclusively. So he's connected with Hit Boy. I think many think that Nas's career is over, that, he's just going to put out stuff, but it's never going to be of high quality. Hey, it's not going to be Stillmatic. It's not going to be Illmatic. Definitely not. It's not going to be It Was Written, which arguably some people debate. It Was Written is better than Illmatic. I don't agree, but that's for another day and another podcast. But now we get into the fact that, in my personal opinion, Life is Good is maybe his fourth best album. And we're really at a point now that we don't know what Nas can do. Some of the last couple projects, we know we got Lost Tapes 2, and although I think Lost Tapes 2 in theory was great, it just didn't resonate like Lost Tapes 1 did. And I think that was around the Stillmatic time. So we're really now wondering what is to be with this combination with Hit Boy. Well, I would tell you that the world was pleasantly surprised. So, the first single we got was Ultra Black. And that was, pro Black, in the time of 2020, off the heels of George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, in the summer. And the song was a smash. Now, smash on the radio charts, no, but a smash in the community. And it was Nas the opportunity to set forth and really say that what he was standing for. Moving forward, we got some other tracks that obviously hit that album. It was the reunion of the Firm, the first time we had the Firm since the Firm did their own album, like way back in the late 90s. I think it was like 98 or 99 when the Firm kind of finally got together. And we know that the issues were Cormega, but they've patched things up since then. So we got the original Firm, was pretty dope. Then obviously then we look at some of the other guest shots. We had Anderson Park, All Bad. He was on that track. We got Big John and Lil Durk, along with ASAP Ferg being on track. So we got Spicy. We got Blue Benz. We got Car 85. We got 27 Summers. These are all songs. So what does this mean for Nas? I don't think we ever saw it. But this album end up being the album that Nas wins his first Grammy as an artist. Hey, should he have won a Grammy with It Was Written? Could he have won a Grammy with some of the outstanding performances he's had? On Life Is Good. I think of Daughters in particular is a song that resonated with so many people. Didn't win, but this is the album that he wanted. He had like a whole new sound. I think one of the stigma pieces that we've had with Nas is that Nas has not had the best production, or let's take that back. Nas has not chosen the best beats to lay down his tracks on. So an immediate win. Did Nas need a Grammy to be solidified as one of the greatest artists? No, because it's no different than the NBA. We got Ewing, Barkley, Malone, and we can say what we want to say about Malone. John Stockton, Kevin Johnson, The list goes on and on and on of great players. Baron Davis, you name it. Allen Iverson, Tracy McGrady. These all guys don't have a ring yet. They are wildly revered as some of the top 50 players that we had all time, and not all of them, but many of those that are listed are top 50 players all time in the NBA, Vince Carter included. So this is a check mark for Nas. Yes, we got a Grammy. Then we move forward, KD2. So there was some buzz that we're going to get another album. I don't think we thought we were going to get it in, I believe it was August now, literally almost a full year later, August of 21, we get KD2. So what's going on here? Well, how does this one feel different? We got obviously EPMD 2. He did a song in between KD1 and KD2, was a smash. He had EPMD actually on the track, and then he had this 36 or 32 bars of rapid fire amazement he got from Eminem. We got Death Row East. We had Store Run. And we had Rare. But then we got the track I think everyone is still buzzing about 2 years later. We got Lauryn Hill back on the mic and spitting some absolute, it might be the best verse that is on the whole album, was what Lauryn Hill gets off her chest. So pretty amazing. That's what we got at a KD2. So this is 21. Fast forward to the winter of 21, as we're right around Christmas, and we get a Christmas surprise. We get this album called Magic. And, you know, I think of the songs that are on it, you know, from Joe Black to some of the other songs that we obviously got a song called Magic. And this really solidified Nas is doing something that no one had done. Like no one had spit out in not even 18 months. He had, like, this is like the DMX days of 98, where he spit out 3 albums in one shot. The banger track, we got Premiere on the mix, we got Wave Gods that he got ASAP Rocky on. You know, we think of Hollywood Gangsters, we think of Ugly, we think of Speechless, we think of Dedicated. So as great as KD1 and KD2, you can make an argument that Magic is as good, if not better. So, wow. Do we think we get we've got enough out of Nas? Well, why, when you listen to Magic, I want to tell you, it's not Joe Black. I want to tell you that it's the truth. We get a preview that KD3 is on the way. This is only to kind of pass us over because we're just flowing in the booth. And the chemistry that Nas has is solidified, I think, with KD2, and how KD2 is elevated and feels differently, but just the same, in the same pocket as KD1. And then we get Magic that sounds a little bit different, but it's definitely Hit Boy. And now we get Magic. So now we got 3 amazing albums. Well, sure enough, we didn't have to wait very long. We get summer of 22. We get KD3. And what's unique about KD3, we ain't got no guest shot. This is like Illmatic, with the exception of obviously having AZ on the track. We get legit, we get Ghetto Reports, we get 30, where he takes a shot at or validates his stance of Pete Rock coming after him for royalties because he didn't get enough money on the World Is Yours that he did for did on Illmatic. We get Beef, we get Hood to Hood, which is one of my favorite songs, but my 2 bangers is I'll say 3 bangers. We got Michael and Quincy in the reference of Hit Boy and Nas being the new Michael Jackson and Quincy Jones. We got Get Light, which is a high energy song, but my banger, this is on locomotive vibes. We got Done, and you know that's a QB reference to the people in QB. It is an absolute fire song. So here we are. We have gone 3 summers. This is the 30th summer of Nas that we got in 22, and he has given us 4 incredible albums. This is arguably of recent times the best 4 album run of any artist. Now, this is like an artist that was supposed to be done. This is an artist that his prime was supposed to be essentially his first and second album. He had, obviously Stillmatic that ended up being a 5 mic album, and never really got, the rating that he probably deserved with and the commentary that he did with Untitled, that he should have got with Hip Hop Is Dead, and he still gets stigmatized for saying hip hop is dead because he didn't agree with what some of the new jacks were doing. But I think that was taken out of context. But going back to this run, we now have Nas hitting us with 4 amazing albums in 3 summers. So you think of what an accomplishment that is. We got 1 album from arguably the greatest MC on the planet, and that is Kendrick Lamar at this point. And I think Kendrick's bar is arguably album for album, maybe higher than any other person in the history of hip hop. But saying this is like a whole third career for Nas. He is literally flying high. We had Nas in Toronto with Wu-Tang, and I'm a huge Wu-Tang fan, but I'm a huge Nas fan. Nas outshone Wu-Tang when he performed at Budweiser stage. Fast forward to the 24th of February, we have a show in only the right place at the right time. We have Nas at MSG doing a King's Disease trilogy. And if I give you kind of the color, no concert ever that I've ever experienced felt like a movie, but this one felt like a movie. Between the background, and we started off in KD1. We hit some early tracks. We hit Blue Bends, we hit Car 85, we hit Ultra Black. We dipped into Store Run and Death Row East, and then we went. We sprinkled a little Magic, and then we got KD3. We got obviously Michael and Quincy. We got 30. I thought he was going to cut the Pete Rock joint, but that's still a hot piece. So he got at Pete Rock. We definitely got Get Light. I think I don't recall him doing First Time. But there was that. And then, yes, I think we got, as I said, a little sprinkle of Magic. So we are already flying high. The props, the set changes, and any kind of disappears. So it's like, we're going to get Act 2. And so maybe he's going to go back and now do Nobody and EPMD2 and some of the songs that he didn't touch. No, we took it back. We took it back, and it was kind of a surprise and a shock to so many people. But Nas went back into the crates and said we had to touch some of the classics. Now we already had like a classic vibe that started the concert where the DJ was on point. He gave us he gave us Top Billin'. He gave us Jada Kiss. He gave us so many different tracks from that era. He gave us the 80s. He gave us the 90s. He sprinkled a brief second on the 2000s as we got into so many things. So now we've gone back and we're going to the early essence of Nas's catalog. So we're now talking Represent. We're talking from Represent to It Was Yours to obviously he had to get at Ain't Hard to Tell, and then Mind Was Blown when all of a sudden we have AZ appear through the stage or elevated through this stage, this trap door that was built in the stage. AZ appears to do Life's a Bitch, and Mind Was Blown. It was absolutely crazy. Maybe for many people, the highlight in the moment of the show and the concert. So pretty amazing that's how that went down. We had some other guest shots. There's a hook that Nas uses in one of his tracks. It's a Slick Rick, so no word of a lie. We have Slick Rick appear out of nowhere with a classic giant gold chain and his eye patch, and I think he was wearing a fur. Unbelievable vibes. As we continue to move through, It Was Written. You know, we even touched I Am, and we got into Nostradamus. We did a sprinkle on um what you call it, Stillmatic. We definitely got into um oh you know, some of the other tracks, and I'm blanking on the album right now. Yeah. Oh, then he went back to Illmatic, and it was pretty amazing to see him, just the ebbs and flows. Life is Good. It was the album that I was trying to think of. I just remember it now. But like, he's on an all-time high. This show is like 2 hours long. It's just Nas with a couple guest shots. Hit Boy even comes out, and Hit Boy talks on one of the tracks on, I believe it's the end of KD2. And you know, we really kind of get an incredible feel of what is happening on Nas's like Nas's just, you know, stage presence, and the feel of this album, or this, you know, call it quartet of albums, is pretty amazing. It's actually, Hit Boy comes out for his track Composure. You know, and there's a couple other songs, The Bible, which I think he could have done. Count Me In. Some people don't love that song. Like, Nas Is Good. That's another track he could easily end it up with, but 2 hours deep. What do you think is the song he's got to end up? His biggest commercial success, and that, you know, sends everyone off on a beautiful Friday night. If I Ruled the World is the track. I think some people said, oh, with all the guests, are we going to get Lauryn Hill? Well, if we got Lauryn Hill, we needed two songs. We'd have to do Nobody, and we would have had to do excuse me, we would have obviously had to do If I Ruled the World. And no, we got I Ruled the World, just done by Nas. Still unbelievable show, unbelievable experience, but that's how it went down. So what does that mean? In my opinion, for me personally, by far the best Nas show that I've ever seen. In the hierarchy of all the shows that I've seen Wu-Tang, I've seen Biggie, I've seen Snoop, I've seen Ludacris, I've seen Kanye, I've seen DITC, I've seen Tribe, I've seen De La. I've had the epitome, the epicenter of all shows was um a show that just had so many different artists, and that's Rock the Bells. I think it's 2008. So on that bill, I don't think there ever will be a concert that will trump that one. We had Tribe Called Quest and Nas as the headliners, but we had Rakim, KRS-One as the host. We had De La Soul at 3 o'clock. This show ended up at 8. We had Red and Meth, and we had Mos Def. So those are just some of the artists that were, so like that concert is in the stratosphere among stratospheres. So I don't think there's going to be a show that ever touches that one. But now we look at tiers below that. I still hold in the highest regard, and rest in peace to Trugoy, plug number 2 from De La. But that was my gateway opening concert. I go flip back way back. 1994, first concert I ever see. I see in Toronto. I see Tribe Called Quest open for De La Soul, or maybe it's the reverse, depending on how you want to flip it. I think it actually was De La opening for Tribe, but De La was equally as good as Tribe. And that was my show. It was like, is this how concerts are? This is what it feels like? I got to keep going. The adrenaline rush to rap the songs back and forth with the artist. It was a relatively small venue. The vibe was incredible. And this led me to seeing so many artists, you know, from Common to Biggie, as I've mentioned, to Wu-Tang, to Raekwon, to Mobb Deep, and seeing Mobb Deep multiple times, to seeing Busta, which is one of the best stagemen out there. I would tell you that is probably maybe my number 2 an epitome of concerts. But then I now think of this one is in the conversation with Busta, with if I go back and think of Kanye by himself, if I think of Ice Cube by himself, this is now kind of in the epitome of arguably the third best concert that I've ever seen. So hats off Nas, and like to see a concert in 2000 or 1994 and in my 29th year of seeing shows to see Nas. He's actually coming back to Toronto in October. He's hitting the Canada for 6 shows. He's doing again with Wu-Tang as Wu-Tang celebrates the 30th anniversary of 36 Chambers. Pretty amazing, pretty awesome that this is happening again, but whole nother level Nas was on. And to think that this is like his, I think it's his it's his 17th project to hit us with KD3 and 3 other albums that all compass in 3 summers. It's pretty amazing. So a very interesting, I guess comparison is, what are my thoughts on KD1 versus KD2 versus KD3? Me personally, I would tell you that if I go from bottom to top, KD1 is number 4. And I think there's a lot of good things about KD1. And I definitely put King's Disease on a playlist. And I would tell you, from Blue Benz to Ultra Black, those are some of the most played songs that I have. But I think in overall quality and, I think there's a skip. I believe if I were to give it a mic rating, I'd give it 4 out of 5. Actually, maybe even 3.5 or 3 3/4 out of 5, but 4 would be the max. And then if I look at number 3 album, I think I go with KD2. There's a couple points that I think we think of, and many love Store Run. I'm not the biggest fan of Store Run, to be perfectly honest with you. I think there's opportunity with some of the things that happen in the middle of the album. So from Moments to No Phony Love to Brunches on Sunday, I think that's where it loses its bangmanship. And I'm going to coin that as a word, bangmanship. Nas does a great job, and Hit Boy, it's just those songs will never be songs that I go back and want to play. I'll play The Bible. I will play Composure. I will play Count Me In. I will play Nobody, which is probably my most played song. I definitely will play Rare and Pressure. I got a chance to visit the Nas mural and stand on the 41st side, and also the 40th side, which Nas has a song called The 40th Side. But that will not be an album that I play at the level probably I played the other 2. So now we got KD3 and we got Magic. And I as much as I love KD3's got Ghetto Report, done, Recession Proof. I think it is neck and neck with Magic. And Magic is in a pretty amazing album. It is going to go down as one of Nas's most underrated projects. It is, I think it is an elevation or a step above what people think about Lost Tapes. I easily could say that this is the best album. I probably could make the argument in my own head that that's the best album. I think Katie, when I think of, I need a song that absolutely thumps, and my heart tells me that I can go Recession Proof, and I can go Done, where I think I only got Joe Black and maybe one other song. So I think they're neck and neck, and on a different day, I would easily choose Magic, and I've played Magic a lot lately. I would say in a photo finish, and I would easily say both of these are 4.5 mics. But if I got to choose one today, I'll choose KD3 over Magic. But you get me on another pod, I would get easily made the argument for KD3. So that is Nas in a nutshell. The show is incredible. That's kind of the breakdown. So if we go mics, we got KD1, and I would say KD1 at 3.5, KD2 at 3 3/4 mics, and then Magic and KD3 I think are 4.5 mics out of 5. I don't know if we've had a 5 mic album, with the exception of one of the last projects that was done by Benny the Butcher. And if I kind of just, if I'm trying to, and it's not the last one I think we're all talking, and that most people think that I'm referring to. I think Burden of Proof is a 5 mic album. I so enjoy that. I still play it to this day. So I definitely think that is a five mic. And then it's funny, the other album that I kind of have in that regard um is none other. And I know people love Pinata, but I think honestly, my favorite album, the most played album that I have in the last 5 years is Freddie Gibbs's Bandana. And some people they love Pinata, they love Alfredo. They say Nas should have not won a Grammy, and they should have given it to Freddie Gibbs and Alchemist for Alfredo. I would tell you Bandana is better. I go Bandana over Pinata, and people will say that I'm absolutely out of my mind, but I think that's where I kind of lie. So shout out to Nas, shout out to Hit Boy. What a show you put on the 24th of February. Shout out to what you're doing. I guess we got to see what's next. Do we get a KD4? Do we get another album? Do we get Magic 2? I think we got to see what's going to happen. I still, Nas sprinkled out hope that, hey, we could still do this Nas and Primo album that we've been talking about for probably the last 15 years since they end up showing an album. I'm sure it was Rap Pages or something like that, but they put Nas and Primo on the same cover and said, we want to get an album. And that may be the album that could bring all of the old school hip hop heads back and say that hip hop never died. And that could be the album that we could talk about for I think it's the dream album. But I think there's also on those two artists so much pressure to kind of actually pull that thing together. We have to wait and see. We have to really wait and see if that they can really pull this off. But this is Lionel for Sneaks, Rhymes, and Life. Thank you for listening. You can find me on Spotify. You can find me on Apple Music, iHeartRadio, Google Play. Obviously, you're going to see this on none other than YouTube. So thank you for listening. Thank you for continuing to support the pod. But that's my recap from the King's Disease Trilogy concert at MSG. And there was no better venue possible for Nas to do it, unless there was some magical theater. Maybe we could have done it at the Apollo. It just, we had 20,000 people. It was a sellout show. So salute to Nas. Salute to Hit Boy. Thank you for listening to the pod. We're out. Peace.